Today I'm making the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs race to see who can win a Stanley Cup. But there's a twist. For every season we're going to spin this wheel, and whatever it lands on, whoever achieves the task will be able to add one superstar to their team, which will be decided by this wheel. I said superstars, but this wheel actually has the two best forward and the best defenseman from each team in the league, so not every single one's necessarily a superstar. Let's spin and see what the first challenge is going to be. We are going to land on the player with the most points. Wait, it kind of skipped at the end, but it is the player with the most points. At the end of year number one, the Edmonton Oilers would finish with a 41-39-2 record, earning 84 points, just making the playoffs. Toronto Maple Leafs would finish with a 40-33-9 record, earning 89 points and missing the playoffs, which is kind of tragic. But in terms of adding a new player to the team, Connor McDavid finished with 94 points to lead Edmonton, and Matthews is only finishing with 74 points, which means Connor McDavid wins round one, and Edmonton will be adding a new player to their team at the end of the season. I mean, they could win the cup right now, who knows? With Toronto already out of the playoffs, we only have to worry about the Edmonton Oilers. They're facing the Colorado Avalanche in the first round, and it's not looking too good, and they are eliminated in 5 games. Nugent Hopkins would lead the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs with 6 points, while it'd be Evander Kane who led them in goals with 3. Started Stuart Skinner, who had a 911 save percentage and a 3.31 goals against average. There's also just a big roster update for this game, so I'm interested to see how that skews the results. But the Carolina Hurricanes are your Stanley Cup champions, beating Colorado in 6 games. No team won the Stanley Cup, unsurprisingly, but Edmonton did win the challenge, which means they get to add a player to their team. Let's see who it's going to be. There's almost 100 options on here, and they are going to get Philip Forsberg, not a bad one at all. I'd say Edmonton's first line is looking kind of scary. Let's see how much it actually helps them. It's time to decide the year number 2's challenge. Let's see what the teams will have to accomplish. It is going to be the team with the worst playoff performance. So this is throwing a bone. I think this is the only one that pities the team that's doing bad. So whichever team does worse in the playoffs gets an upgrade. The Edmonton Oilers would finish with a 39-31-12 record, earning 90 points in year number 2, finishing 4th in their division, just making the playoffs. Toronto Maple Leafs would also make the playoffs with a 45-32-5 record, earning 95 points for 3rd in their division. Quick look at the stats: 102 points for McDavid, 79 for newly added Philip Forsberg, with McDavid leading in goals with 35, while Forsberg and Draisaitl tied for 32. Stuart Skinner being the starting goalie in Edmonton, not too bad this time around. 9-10 save percentage, 2.77 goals against average, 32 wins and 69 games played with 6 shutouts. And Matthews led the way for Toronto in points with 93, Marner being right behind him at 92. It'll be Matthews leading in goals with 45. Samsonov a 9.04 save percentage and a 2.86 goals against average, earning 35 wins in 63 games played with 2 shutouts. In terms of the challenge, it's actually who does worse in the playoffs and not best, so these teams might want to lose unless they're feeling confident enough to win the cup right now. We got Edmonton versus Winnipeg and Toronto versus Buffalo. I think both teams understood the assignment, as the Edmonton Oilers lose in 5 games, but Toronto wanted it more as they get swept by the Buffalo Sabres, and they will be getting the upgrade this time around. I swear an EA Sports sim is less predictable than the lottery, as the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Dallas Stars in 7 games to win the Stanley Cup. Not exactly much playoff stats to look at. Tavares led Toronto in goals with 2, while Bunting led in points with 3. Matt Murray played 1 game, played really good. Samsonov played 4 games, played really bad. Edmonton, they stuck with Stuart Skinner, didn't play the greatest, 9.08 save percentage, 2.90 goals against average. And Connor McDavid led in playoff goals with 4 and playoff points with 5. Okay, but who is Toronto going to be adding to the squad next season? It is going to be, who we got? I forgot how long it takes to spin. It's going to be Burakovsky, which has to be one of the worst options on this wheel. But I mean, I guess it's still an upgrade. Burakovsky will go in at the second line, playing with Tavares and Bunting. What is our next challenge going to be? What's it going to be? What do we got? We have the team who wins the most awards. I don't know what happens if it's a tie, though. I didn't think about that yet. Well, Toronto's not making the playoffs this time around with a 34-39-9 record. Finished with 77 points for 5th in their division. Meanwhile, the Edmonton Oilers are top of their division with 102 points earned, a 47-27-8 record. Matthews led the Leafs in points with 88, while leading them in goals with 55. Burakovsky didn't really add much. He had 49 points, 19 goals. Obviously not bad, but he got outperformed by Jarn Krok in terms of points. He was only an 81 overall. Samsonov didn't play the best. Murray didn't play the best. 3.03 goals against average, 8.99 save percentage, only 25 wins in 65 games played. Skinner did play better, 37 wins in 67 games played, and 9.2 save percentage and a 2.59 goals against average with 5 shutouts. Bob McDavid dominated again, 103 points to lead Edmonton with 46 goals to lead them as well. Forsberg's doing just fine on that first line as well. And luckily, it doesn't really affect the awards category necessarily, but Toronto not having a good year means they probably didn't win that many awards. Edmonton faces Vancouver in the first round. They're up 3-1, but they do choke their way to a game 7. Let's see what happens here. It's a 5-0 loss. They had a 3-1 lead and they lost it. I have absolutely no idea what's happening with these Sims anymore. The Vancouver Canucks are your Stanley Cup champions, being the Tampa Bay Lightning. 7 games. Yeah, right. Not too interested in playoff points this time around. We are going to look at awards, and I mean, no one won any team awards. Look at individual awards. Is there an Edmonton Oiler? I doubt there's a Toronto Maple Leaf, but is there an Edmonton Oiler? Is there actually none? Neither of them won any awards. Apparently, Brian Marchand had more than 103 points because he won the Art Ross Trophy, and McDavid had 103 points. McDavid didn't even finish top 2. He finished 3rd. Stamkos had 104 points. Marchand had 105. I think in the case of a tie, I'm going to make it fun, and I'm going to give them both an upgrade instead of giving nobody an upgrade. I'm interested to see what the wheel's feeling. I'm going to give Edmonton the first spin because they did better. They actually made the playoffs. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Let's see what happens. First spin is the Edmonton Oilers spin, and they are going to get Roman Josi. I think they're not going to complain about that at all. Let's also see who the Toronto Maple Leaf are going to get. I mean, Crosby would be cool. McKinnon, there's a lot of great names. Quinn Hughes is also a defenseman, and he's also really good, so they'll definitely take that. Edmonton getting a boost to their defensive core with one of the best defensemen in the league, Roman Josi, sitting at a 93 overall. And this just looks like a really fun defensive pairing all around. Quinn Hughes and Morgan Riley, top D pair for Toronto. Can't believe no team won an award last time. Either way, the next challenge is going to be, let's see what it is. Captain 1v1 fight is what I really want the most, but it's going to be the team with the most wins, which once again is pretty self-explanatory. The Toronto Maple Leafs would finish with a 45, 31, and 6, a record earning 96 points, making the playoffs in 4th in their division. But with 49 wins, 28 losses, and 5 overtime/shootout losses, 103 points earned, top of their division, the Edmonton Oilers would win the challenge, as 49 wins is more than 45. Matthews had 91 points to lead Toronto with 54 goals as well. Quinn Hughes' Toronto debut, 61 points for 4th on the team. Samsonov, a 902 save percentage at 2.87 goals against average, 4 shutouts, 38 wins, and 65 games played. And would actually be Leon Draisaitl leading the Edmonton Oilers in points with 86. Phil Forsberg leading in goals with 35. And Roman Josi's debut, 20 goals, 53 assists for 73 points. And Stuart Skinner, 899 save percentage, 2.90 goals against average, 40 wins, and 70 games played with 1 shutout. So Edmonton has won the right to the next upgrade, but it might not matter if a team wins the cup here. Toronto faces New Jersey in the first round, while Edmonton faces Anaheim. Well, I was about to say this Edmonton team seems really good, but they're also going into game 7 versus Anaheim, so I don't really trust their abilities to win. They do get it done though, beating Anaheim 4-0 in game 7. Toronto beat New Jersey in 6 games, move on to the second round, where they'll be facing the New York Rangers, who they'll sadly lose to. Meanwhile, in the bottom right corner, as you can see, Edmonton beat the Vegas Golden Knights in the second round and move on to the conference finals. And they'll be facing the Winnipeg Jets in the conference finals. Let's see what happens. The Edmonton Oilers would beat Winnipeg 6-3 in game 7. They move on to the Stanley Cup Finals to face Tampa Bay. Edmonton is 1 win away from a Stanley Cup, which would make them the winner of the challenge. We're gonna go into the fancy sim, see what happens. Period number 1, 1-0 Edmonton. Period number 2, 3-0 Edmonton. I'm just gonna sim the third. It doesn't matter. The Edmonton Oilers are your Stanley Cup champions. David absolutely dominated the playoffs, 29 points to lead Edmonton. He also led them in goals with 10. With a bit of defensive help, Skinner dominated, a 923 save percentage and 2.14 goals against average with 3 shutouts in the 16 wins. Samsonov played amazing as well at 924 save percentage at 2.13 goals against average, getting 2 shutouts out of the 6 wins. And Burakovsky did tie for most points on the team in the playoffs, though it was a 4-way tie for 12 points. He was also second on the team in goals, Matthews being the first with 10, Burakovsky getting 7. All it took was Edmonton adding Forsberg and Josi, and they were able to get the job done. So I guess that's going to be it for me today. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.